Hello, and welcome to MoviePod, a Reclaimed Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Brian Wishart. If you enjoy the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. That will do me. That really help me out a lot. This week, I am joined by Charles Starr from a No Homework podcast to discuss Spies Like Us. This is a Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd comedy directed by a child murderer, John Landis. And this is a movie that didn't get great reviews when it came out, but there's a lot of for its 40th anniversary. There's a lot of retrospective articles about it being a cult classic. About how like the depiction of the Cold War is kind of an interesting gimmick for a comedy. So people kind of, this is one that people are heralding as an undiscovered masterpiece. But I think people like this movie now more than they did back then. So how's it going, Charles?
It's going okay. I will say I like the movie less than I did back then.
Yeah.
But that's because the back then for me, I was 14 years old and I saw it in the theater. Mm-hmm. And for a 14-year-old, I think the comedy in it is much stronger. And, because it's a lot of sight gags and it's a lot of Chevy Chase clowning. Mm-hmm. It feels very improvised. Like, there are a lot of scenes where you could feel that they just took a lot of takes to get something worthwhile, or they let a lot of film run to get something worthwhile, mm-hmm. and not every scene got something productive. And the best line was still kind of mediocre. But I liked still seeing it as very cartoony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, I watch a lot of Saturday Night Live, so I know them a lot from that. I had never seen Spies Like Us until we were talking about what episode to do, and you mentioned you're on a Chevy Chase kick of movies right now. So
yeah,
and Chevy Chase is a performer that he's swarmy, he has some charm to him, some dirtbag charm to him as well, and and it's a specific kind of character you can do it. And I love Fletch. I think Fletch is a great movie.
Yeah.
And that one is, I think, plays to his strengths a lot more. And I think this movie, the characters are pretty ill defined. It is Chevy Chase just doing Chevy Chase, it's Dan Aykroyd doing Dan Aykroyd things. And it's a lot of fun. And what I think is what kind of blew me away with this movie is that what was the budget for this? The budget's $22 million, which is pretty high. And mm-hmm. But there's parts where the Mujahideen, where it was probably 100 extras in the desert,
right.
For a comedy
you could see
movie.
where they spent the money, actually.
Yeah, and
very expensive sort of contraption effects, a lot of remote shooting with a ton of extras. It wasn't a soundstage movie. For all of the silliness. A lot shot. Also, it seemed like they did shoot in, snowy woods,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was reading, an article, for the 40th anniversary, saying, it was very difficult to shoot and everything. Chevy Chase found it hard to do his kind of improvising comedy when he's miserable and, when you're filming snow scenes too, it's hard to do second take too, because the footsteps to the snow is gonna be hard to do. And
right.
And it looks good. And other than helicopter safety, making sure children survive and Vic Morrow survives in movies, John Landis is a pretty competent director.
Uh-huh.
And he can do action pretty well. Blues Brothers is an all-time classic, and that movie has so many cars get destroyed.
Right.
I love that movie, and the action scenes in this, I was kind of wow, for a pretty much a disposable 80s comedy. This one has some pretty solid action in it, and
mm-hmm.
and I think that the way that Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase fumble through those action scenes, it's endearing, it's charming, and it works for the film. It's not like they're trying to be they're the butt of the joke, but it's not just they're completely incompetent, which the premise of the movie is that they are incompetent, but
and they have it's funny because they're incompetent but have two very clearly defined competencies, which is why they are just good enough to be the decoy spies, right? I guess, I mean, it's good. We might as well just get the plot out up front, right?
Yeah.
Is that basically the military has to take on this mission, which is a little undisclosed, spoiler warning, but they have to penetrate Russian territory, and the idea you get is that they have to disable an ICBM that is buried in a launch site in the Russian tundra, functionally, right? And so because they are two, I guess, State Department adjacent fuck-ups, Chevy Chase is the fail son, third generation foreign service guy, just sort of coasting on looks and charm and nepotism. And Dan Aykroyd is a kind of hyper-confident code breaker and, mechanical noodler with no social skills, who is buried in a military sub-basement by a boss who is trying to keep him trapped there because he's competent but inept.
Yeah.
And so he can sort of fool him into being his slave forever.
And so when the film opens up, it's, we're in the snowy landscape. They filmed all the Russia snowy stuff in Norway, and you see it's reindeer or caribou. I can never tell the difference between the two, and they're kind of spooked off by a giant the ICBM missile being wheeled through the snow, just crushing trees and such, and it looks great. It looks really good, and then we see some Soviets and their winter jackets and stuff with the hammer and sickle patches and everything, but that's being captured by a spy satellite up in space. And it's funny,
which by the way, they throw in a ton of very quick visual Zemeckis style jokes. When you first see the cut to the space satellite, it functionally says weather satellite, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
It says non-military use or something, really obvious. And then the panel slides down and you see the spy camera zoom in literally to be able to take a clear shot of the ICBM on the ground in a clearing in the woods.
And I love when it gets back to the ground that whoever is operating a satellite is down Washington D.C. somewhere, and it's an Ace Tomatoes place, which is a recurring thing. Where Ace Tomatoes, it's kind of the was it United Fruit or whatever, that where America used that company to to do regime change in South America. Clearly it's them. So this fruit company is still it's just this courier just delivering. He delivers the photographs in a briefcase. He can't look at the photographs to the honcho's in charge, and I love when you get to the room there where he's I have a important message, and it's yell louder, Moscow can hear you.
Yeah,
and he can't see the message, but also it's chained, it's handcuffed to it. The briefcase is handcuffed to him, so he has to they lock him in a closet while all the people who actually have the proper security clearance can look at it. It's a pretty funny bit.
Yeah, I mean, and it's there are so many sub bits within the bit, right? The photos are beamed down to the Ace Tomato Company, which is buried in a farming, a produce distribution center, that it looks like a real operating produce distribution center. So they drive out in an Ace Tomato truck, right? So it's real deep cover spy stuff. But the Ace Tomato truck just pulls up in front of a Georgetown townhouse.
Yeah.
And he gets out of the van with a briefcase handcuffed to his arm. And then no one can get it off of him.
Yeah.
Because no one actually has the keys to get the cuffs off of him and dismiss him. So they shove him in a closet so they can open the briefcase while it's attached to his arm, but he can't see it. And they look at the photos, and two people come in, and they're like, is there someone in the closet? And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's unimportant.
He's nobody.
And yeah, so like now, like there's like, all right, shit, there's this missile, so like we gotta organize a mission to track it down, but also like the idea. So as you mentioned before, like there's like want to send two good agents. They're calling these operatives GLG 20s.
Right.
So these GLG 20s, which are these specific agents for whatever field work they're doing. So they want to get two competent ones to do this mission, but also to throw off the scent, they want to get two incompetent ones. So we get introduced to Chevy Chase first, and he's just like sitting at his desk, like he's watching whatever, he's watching some Ronald Reagan movie on TV on his TV, like some.
Oh, I didn't catch that. What it was, like a musical.
Yeah, it's a musical. Yeah, and it's what was it called? I looked it up. Reagan college movie. She's working her way through college from 1952. Starring Virginia Mayo, Ronald Reagan, and Gene Nelson. And it's kind of funny because, like, with Ronald Reagan, of course, he's president at the time. So, like, CIA shit and like government shit, there's always the photos of Ronald Reagan hanging on every single wall.
Yeah.
Like, you can probably do a drinking game for how many times you see Ronald Reagan's mug in this movie.
Yeah. Official presidential portrait everywhere.
Yeah. That's something that just, like, I don't know, like, I'm in Canada, and, like, I don't think that's really a thing. Like, I don't have to see, like, Mark Carney's mug everywhere I go. It did used to be a thing where, like, classrooms would have, like, pictures of the Queen and stuff there, but, like, never when I was a kid. But, like, when my... Like,
I mean, that really wasn't a thing for me growing up either, but all of the action in these movies takes place in government buildings. And in government buildings, you do really see, you know, like an agency head and a president and whatever. Like those things, that it rang false in some of the specifics, like that his face was hanging outside of the elevator of the super spy Deep HQ or something. But, you know, the idea that his face would be hanging in a government diplomatic office is not surprising.
And, like, it's kind of funny because, like, of course, anytime you see a president in an old movie, you always think about Donald Trump now. And, like, how, like, if he made the exact same movie now but had Donald Trump's picture up on a wall, you just start laughing, right? You can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, so, like, I don't know, it's just interesting because, like, you know, you saw this when you were a teenager, right? So, like, I was born in 1991, so the Cold War pretty much ended the year I was born. So, like, I was not seeing movies that were made about the Cold War during the Cold War.
Right.
And I don't know, what was it like kind of seeing, like, these movies that are about, like, you know, us versus them kind of things as a kid, like during the tail end of the Cold War. So it's not like I was like this. It's the height of the Reagan stuff, which got pretty heated, but like it's not like the. Yeah, I'm just curious. Like,
I was too young to really, really grasp the politics of it. I was old enough to find the U.S.-Russia stuff a little overwrought and silly, even though, you know, the whole missile gap and the, you know, SALT II and all of the various goings on were kind of in the news, and I was definitely aware of them, but I was not hyper aware of political valence. I didn't care enough yet when I was 14 years old. My political leanings were more domestic than foreign policy. And so while I didn't like Reagan, I didn't like him for trickle-down kind of reasons, as opposed to having any sense of international relations. So a lot of what was in my head was probably no more sophisticated than Rocky and Bullwinkle versus Boris and Natasha. You know, it was functionally a trope in my head. Oh, we're against the Russians again. You know, but it didn't really mean anything.
Like this comes out. Spies Like Us comes out the same year as Rocky 4. I think actually I was looking at the dates right now. I did Rocky 4 earlier for this podcast back in December, and so Spies Like Us comes out December of '85, and Rocky 4 comes out in November of '85. So like those are both two movies that are like, you know, very much about like, you know, America versus Russia and such. Like Rocky 4 more so, but like, do you see that one in the theater?
I did. I definitely did.
That would have been a blast.
Oh, it was. It was amazing. And, you know, and I had definitely seen, I don't know if I'd seen 3 in the theater, because I think there was a big enough gap that I'd have been too young. But by the time Rocky 4 came out, I had definitely seen the other 3, though Rocky 1 is not a kids movie at all. They become more kids movie-ish.
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. They become more kids movie-ish as they go, but but 4 definitely was, and so I did see that. And again, it is basically Russia served the role in the American consciousness of film that any swarthy Arab does now. You know, like they are just all-purpose bad guys, and sometimes they also are, you know, make the point that we're the bad guys too. And so, and that's kind of what this was. I was not enlightened enough to get that they were making fun of Reagan at the end, especially. But yeah, it was just, it seemed like a goof in the middle of something that was supposed to be taken seriously, and only watching it now, I'm like, oh, also you weren't supposed to take any of it seriously. You were supposed to realize that all of the things that are nominally serious are also a bunch of idiots who are in charge as well.
Yeah. And of course, because it is like an 80s comedy, like the idiots end up like, you know, defeating everyone who's up above. Like, not defeating everyone, but they kind of like make like the idiots kind of win. The slobs win, right? Like
right.
Chevy and Dan Aykroyd, they are the ones that end up like saving the day.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Like actually, like Chevy Chase is interesting to him. Like he's like not paying attention at work. Clearly, he gives us the rundown how he's like the son of an an envoy. So like he's like, you know, not good at his job, but he's asked about some exam by his coworker. Like, are you going to be writing this exam? Like, you know. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, you know, I did well in it last year, but this test apparently has, like, you have to answer, like, 300 questions in, like, an hour. So, like, it's an insanely fast exam you have to do that he has not studied for.
Right. Right. And he's obviously lying about having done well the year before, or else he wouldn't be in his current job.
Exactly, yeah.
It is like a foreign service exam, and the result of this exam is to get a GLG 19 assignment, which only matters because they get promoted right to be GLG 20s when they are chosen to be expendable decoys who are actually supposed to probably die in the field. Like, they make no mention of extraction plans for them. They, like, the whole thing is they will almost certainly die, but at least they will take long enough to die that the real team can succeed in the mission.
Yeah. And like when we introduced Dan Aykroyd, because he's in a basement doing all this stuff with a shitty boss and everything's locked away, and the boss basically gets him to sign up for this test there so that he can like, all right, you're doing this test tomorrow. I was like, well, I have not had time to study, but like the idea is that he can fail the test and be stuck there forever too. Like his career is gonna be fucked. Like and yeah, I love when they actually taking the test itself, because like Chevy Chase, like he put on an eye patch, like a fake like arm with like a hook on it. He's like trying
to... like a big cast with a hook at the end.
Yeah. And it's Frank Oz is the one who's actually playing the guys administering the test for them.
Right. Yeah, the proctor and it looks like it looks like it was just shot in a high school where they're all at the desks like kids taking the PSAT.
Yeah.
A room full of people who want to get into the Foreign Service.
I do love at one point during the exam, especially when they start cheating and such, like when they're what does KGB stand for, kind of thing, and
right,
and like the up at like kind of like the vents of the room, they open up and just some cameras start observing the class.
Right. Right, like there's nothing subtle, right? Frank Oz hits a button on the desk, and now they're taping these guys cheating on the Foreign Service exam, and Dan Aykroyd goes from reluctantly writing the full name of KGB, which is kind of funny because it's like a multiple choice exam.
Yeah,
but he like in big letters writes the full name of the KGB, and then Chevy Chase gets more and more dramatic with his cheating. Like he's got notes on the inside of his eye patch. He's got a thing that he pulls out of his mouth. He's got like whole notes that he pulls out of his arm. Out of the cast, I mean. He starts staggering around the room, no longer even keeping his arm in the cast, and pulling people's papers off the desk and copying their answers. And Dan Aykroyd just jumps in and announces that he knows CPR. And so it is very, and this is a theme that happens over and over again, and so I'm probably going to say it a lot. I know I've already said it once. Very cartoony. Like it's two people doing a live action cartoon because all of the bits are so exaggerated. And so they're like at 55, they're cute, but I'm sure at 14 I was fucking dying.
Yeah.
It's like it was perfect for me then.
And like, because Dan Aykroyd came up with the story for this movie, and like he initially wanted to do an homage to like the Road 2 movies with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. As well as like Abbott and Costello, those kind of like road movies where it's kind of like it's like a travelogue, you go to some place, you get some hijinks here and there. So like it's an homage to those movies, and it's kind of similar to those, just plotting wise. And but like it's funny that like they're homaging something like from like 30, 40 years prior. So like it is something where it's like I think it's an interesting. Yeah, you're right. It's very cartoonish in a way, but it's funny because it's an homage to a different era of comedy. Dan Aykroyd wanted to make this movie with Jim Belushi, but of course Jim Belushi dies. So
John Belushi.
John Belushi. Jim Belushi's still kicking.
Yeah. And who wanted to make a movie with Jim Belushi?
Yeah. Jim Belushi, like he's just selling marijuana now. Like he's living a pretty chill life. But yeah, like so like just instead of John Belushi, they replaced him with Chevy Chase, and yeah, because also you can kind of see you can really see a John Belushi version of this too, but you would have to rewrite the Chevy Chase character entirely because, like, John Belushi is a lot more of a physical performer. He's not as charming with the ladies as...
Right. Right. I mean, I think you see a more of an Animal House, like a lout versus a nerd, as opposed to like a smarmy fail-son Caddyshack Chase. Paired with a Dylan.
But yeah, because of all the commotion, the tester, they're taking off over to the side room, and they're being like, they think because they're cheating that like they're going to be like fired or get demoted or something like that, and they're like, nope, you're getting promoted. You're going to be GOG 20 Foreign Service operatives, and they're rushed away to their training, and. This sequence is a lot of fun. Where first off, they're on a plane. They've never been parachuted before in their lives, and they're pretty much just like pushed out the plane and parachute into like a territory they've never been in before.
Right. They just dump them out, and I mean, this is just another bit of how hyper real it is. Right. The two of them are literally just shoved out of a plane, and they land in the exact same spot. In the woods. Two people who don't even know how to use their parachutes, and they just land on top of each other, basically. And not only do they land on top of each other, but they land exactly where they're supposed to land for the training mission to begin, where they're surrounded by a bunch of guys in ninja suits And then the leader of the black fraternity organization in Revenge of the Nerds, right? That's him, right?
Yes, it is. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, Bernie Casey, he
Yeah.
plays Colonel Rhombus. Colonel Rhombus is a great name.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, he played a wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers and then the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he was an ex-football guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just steps right out of the woods in uniform and tells them they're going to begin their training. You know, and the one note he left, you know, needing to know what to train, like Dan Aykroyd cranes his neck, and the only note he has is pussy.
Yeah. I love when all the ninjas are surrounding them and they're like trying to like barter with them and negotiate. And Chevy Chase whips up a photo of his sister, like, "Here's my sister. You can all have her if you want. Like, I've heard she's good."
Right. Yeah. Very Chevy Chase. Like it's the same thing he's done in a bunch of movies. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, which is why I'm sure it's all improvised because it's all super, or, you know, maybe writing room improvised with him sitting there or whatever. But I feel like a lot of it is just, I mean, that one, you know, he had to have a photo of his sister in the wallet that he's carrying for the joke to work. But it's like, you know that they're all sitting around writing these bits together to do this scene. And so like it's a lot of lines that got me to smile because his character is just Chevy Chase's shit back then. It's sort of, I don't know that it holds up, but it absolutely, you could be like, I see why this was funny then.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Because Chevy Chase's persona, like we said the word swarmy a lot, which is what he is. Like he is some guy. Like you can kind of see the divide of Chevy Chase, like especially like Chevy Chase now. Because Chevy Chase is a guy who's apparently notoriously awful to work with. He's very difficult. Yeah. He's an asshole. Like no self awareness. But like the show Community, which he was a main cast member until he got fired from that show. But like his kind of brand of being a kind of a bit of like a scummy guy, it's not as charming. It's more creepy the older he gets. But like handsome, young Chevy Chase, you kind of buy the charm. Like it works for the characters. Like it's, but also it doesn't really age too well because he's a bit of a pervert too. Like there's one point where like instead of like giving like a there like, you know, console someone by patting on the shoulder, you like, you know, like grabs their woman's boob and everything. But like but there's something about Chevy Chase's persona when younger that I feel like he would get away with a lot in a way that like it's very 70s and 80s. He can't really do much of that, especially nowadays.
Well, there are different things, right? It's like when people say that Trump is funny, mostly what they mean is that he's mean to someone who isn't you.
Yeah.
And since you don't like the person he's being mean to, it is caustically funny. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Chevy Chase's character, which is why he was funny on screen, is being this kind of rapscallion who's all id and just, you know, blazing destruction in his, you know, and all this, you know, wreckage in his wake, but he's moving forward, and so if you're with him, you're going forward. But off screen, he's just the biggest dick in the world because he's doing that to people in real life. Mm-hmm. And so it just isn't funny when it's real. Yeah. It's only funny when it's like a fictional creation, which is like basically on screen is what Chevy Chase thinks he is off screen.
Exactly, yeah. And like I forget, I think one of the Community cast members said that like Chevy Chase was really bothered that like Joel McHale in Community was like the young, handsome Chevy Chase like archetype character, and he was no longer that anymore. He cannot be that anymore. He was now this kind of older guy, and when he does this humor, it's comes across as creepy, not charming. There's like no real like sex appeal anymore to the character, and and like, you know, Chevy Chase is a guy that like I I think he's a very funny guy, but also like, yeah, like of course seems like be an absolute awful person off screen. But they made a documentary.
Look, you get away with being Joel McHale when you look like Joel McHale, not when you look like a melting butter sculpture.
Exactly, yeah. And like Dan Aykroyd, like I have not heard of him being a difficult person to work with. He seems to be just like kind of who he is. Like
no, the opposite actually. I've heard that he's a great guy.
Yeah. And it seems like his like comic persona is the same, like in front of the camera and behind it as well. Like it seems like he's like pretty authentic who he is. Like now he's a guy who just like loves his conspiracy theories with aliens. Like I think he just wrote a novel about an alien conspiracy theory, and like he sells like his Crystal Skull vodka as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you mentioned you're going through like some Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd movies. Have you seen Nothing But Trouble?
Yeah, I hated it.
I've heard nothing. Have not seen that one, and I've heard it was absolutely horrendous. But I'm very curious about it.
It's worth it as a. It's worth it as a kind. I don't know how to exactly to put this. Everything about it is bad.
Yeah, isn't like
and
visually disgusting
it is so.
too, like,
wait, say again.
Visually disgusting. Doesn't have like a
yeah.
lot of, like, yeah.
Yeah, everything about it is bad. Nothing about it makes the slightest bit of sense. Mm-hmm. But the only thing you can say is that obviously Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase like each other a lot. For whatever problems other people have, I guess Dan Aykroyd meets Chevy Chase's, passes his respect test. And so they get along very well, so that they made this absolute piece of dog shit. It's horrible. There's enough in it that if I'm not a person who really can appreciate things ironically, either I enjoy them or I don't enjoy them, but I recognize it as a piece of art that is meant to be enjoyed sincerely by an idiot, or enjoyed ironically by someone who has a very different sensibility than me. Mm-hmm. I think Matt Cushman, I think, talks about this movie a lot, and I just don't get anything out of it. I just hate it from, the first frame to the last.
Yeah, because Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, Spies Like Us is the first movie they did together, and I think they did 5 movies total together, including Nothing But Trouble. And yeah, but of course they were on Saturday Night Live together. Chevy Chase, he leaves after the first year, but Dan Aykroyd, they're both original cast members for that show, so
right.
They have a history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this. Now they're doing their training and stuff, and I love this kind of montage of all the things they're being put through, like the G-force test there, where they think, oh, they're saying it should be easy, and then it's kind of just whacked around a lot. They go through a slimy pond there, but they're they're threatened with gunfire if they don't do that properly. Yeah. I love the impact test they do, where basically they just put in the cockpit of a plane. The plane just dropped 5 stories.
Yeah, that's the best. They have a bunch of good gags in the sequence, right? Mm-hmm. That when they do the G-force test, they just are it's just them making real mug faces as they're pulled by the G-forces. But the bit is extended that they walk out of the testing room and their faces are stuck that way. And they are just sort of ventriloquist talking without moving their mouths because they're frozen from the G-forces. And then the blunt force test looks like a Super Dave outtake.
Oh, yeah.
They just put them in a plane and drop it at a 90-degree angle, and it falls apart when it hits the ground, and it that is so dumb that it made me laugh out loud.
It's also insane for John Landis to have a scene with an aircraft crash in it, just after his trial for killing those kids in the Twilight Zone movie. Because the Twilight Zone movie was 1983, so the movie John Landis did in between Spies Like Us and Twilight Zone, the movie Into the Night, they had to stop production of that because John Landis went on trial.
Right.
And like, he wasn't found guilty or anything like that, but pretty much like, he just like kept pretty much the Twilight Zone. The movie, the whole thing there was that Vic Morrow, who's Jennifer Jason Leigh's father, and 2 kids were put into a helicopter, and John Landis allowed a lot of very extra dangerous stunts to happen. The kids' parents did not know these kids would be in a helicopter for the scene, and pretty much just like it changed how liability works in Hollywood forever. It changed like safety warnings and stuff. So like it's pretty much it's a pretty monumental movie. And the thing about John Landis is he doesn't seem to have shown much remorse with what he did. Right. Sounds like he's a very self-centered person.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, he didn't have any kids.
Oh God, fuck Max Landis. Oh my God, that he is one of the most biggest hacks out there. I'm so glad he got canceled and his career's done, because like he is like, I've truly despised absolutely everything that Max Landis has shit out. Did you see Bright?
No, I can't think. I don't know that I've seen anything he's ever done, actually.
His like big ones were like Bright was his like biggest bomb.
No, I know what Bright is, but I didn't see it.
Yeah. Victor Frankenstein, that one, Daniel Radcliffe, American Ultra,
Nope.
Chronicle.
Nope.
He made that there's also that TV show. My sister watched it. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Oh, I've read one of the Dirk Gently novels, but no, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I heard the show is not very good, and like
I didn't think the book was very good either. It's Douglas Adams. It's the Hitchhiker's Guide guy. But there were things about it that I liked in the book, but it didn't hold up for me really.
Yeah, and Max Landis, he with the Me Too, so he got totally canceled for being a real creepy guy. So the Landis family, they really are something. But like, John Landis has pretty much said that like what the Twilight Zone incident is like, oh yeah, it really derailed my career a little bit. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, I think Eddie Murphy said that he felt bad about John Landis, being involved with like that accident there. It's like, all right, so like I'm gonna get him to direct Coming to America, help John Landis out of it. And Eddie Murphy later said like, I regretted doing this. Like Landis has learned nothing from the incident. Like. But like, yeah, like I don't know, John Landis, like he did like the Thriller music video. He did Animal House, Blues Brothers. He's directed some good movies. And what I also like about this whole montage sequence here is like it's complicated stuff, a lot of stuff going on in the background. Like he is good at making comedy busy but not distracting.
Yeah. Though I mean, one of the things that another like just where you've got constant jokes being added in all of the scenes where they're like on the base grounds, everyone is always running around them with rifles over their head. Going, hut, 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 hut. It's like the minions are behind them the whole time. So like he just makes the atmosphere kind of goofy at the same time. And Brian Casey is just deadly serious all the time. Like it's a very funny niche to have between this and like Revenge of the Nerds is that he plays the most stoic, serious person in the middle of just madness.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there they are. And I mean, This scene has the single dumbest joke in the movie, which 100% was Dan Aykroyd, which is they drop them in the middle of the woods, and he's like, Chevy Chase is like, what do we do now? And Dan Aykroyd is like, well, we need to get a dick fur.
And then it's like, oh, what's a dick fur?
It's for peeing, of course.
It is such a non sequitur.
Like, it's such a non sequitur. It doesn't work, and
it's a dud.
And Dan Aykroyd doesn't even react like I got you. There's no, and Chevy Chase doesn't react like he's been zinged. They decided not to cut it, even though it completely flops. There is just no reason for it to be there.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like jokes in this movie that do not land whatsoever, and that one is the biggest like flop of them all. Like, that one should have been cut. But like after they think that like, oh, we failed out this whole program here, so we should be good. But then it turns out, all right, nope, you're still going to keep on progressing. So now you got to go on to your mission. So you're being sent to Pakistan, right? Or Afghanistan? Yeah. Pakistan. Yeah,
Pakistan. They start in Pakistan.
Yes. So they're dropping their Ace Tomatoes crate.
Yeah, that was the best. that they drop them out in a shipping container that says Ace Tomato on the side. Yeah. And, of course, it lands in a remote village in Pakistan, crushing everything valuable in it.
Yeah, it's crushing a whole house and everything. And then, like, the crate opens up, and they're just, like, drinking Budweiser, eating Old El Paso, like, chips, like...
Yeah, they're eating chips and drinking beers and sitting in comfortable recliners in this thing, and then they get, like, chased away by angry villagers.
Yeah, and, like...
Or captured, I guess.
Yeah, and, of course, like, it's an 80s movie, so it's, like, a lot of stereotypes. Like, all these guys have, like, guns and stuff, and shooting at them, like, they're quote-unquote uncivilized and such. They're trying to find their contact there, so, they find these two spies, two guys that they look almost like 50s character, 1950s movies characters, and like,
the guys from the country club.
Yeah, the guys from a country club. Yeah, and like they like, oh yeah, where are your contacts here? So like let's keep on going, and so they get into a car and they're driving through the desert, and honestly, all this desert stuff looks actually pretty great, and
yeah, do you know where they shot those scenes?
It says Sahara Desert. I think it might have been Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, like, Dan Aykroyd gets a glimpse of one of the guys' watches. Like, hey, that's a Soviet watch. Like, that's these guys are definitely working. They're not with us. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, his watch basically says Tetris on it.
Yeah,
with the backwards R. So I don't remember what it actually says, but it's very clearly an Eastern European-y like lettering brand.
And they like Dan Aykroyd goes, all right, I have to go pee. Can we stop the Jeep there? So he gets Dan Aykroyd, he's like, you have to go pee too. He's like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. So they kind of walk through the desert a little bit away from the Jeep and everything. He explains like, all right, I know my watches. I know these guys are not with us, and like they keep walking through the desert, and then they get stopped by the guys who were supposed to be in the Jeep, and like they're kind of like shocked, like, how the fuck did these guys get ahead of us?
Yeah, they teleport in front of them.
It's a great little bit, and and
they escape with more cartoony violence, and they jump in there. They jump in the Jeep and abandon these guys. The guy shoots out the wheel, but it has no effect.
Yeah.
They just still get away and find themselves at a medical facility in the middle of the desert.
Well,
it's supposed to look like a Red Cross tent, basically.
Yeah. Like the Mujahideen had come in with camels and horses and they're all run down, and they say like, oh, like, don't worry, we're American, and he instantly cut to Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase like being hung from their ankles.
Right. And yeah, they're like, these guys are on our side, but they get keel hauled.
Yeah. And so they get there, then they rose it's like some sort of like Red Cross thing, and so like the doctors, they're like, hey, like cut them down, like these are the doctors that were sent by the UN to help us out, and I was like, oh yeah, like they like give themselves like the fake names and such.
Right, and immediately you get the first love interest, which is Chevy Chase falling for Dan Aykroyd's real-life wife, Donna Dixon.
Yeah. And I think my favorite joke of this movie is here when they get inside, like, the tent and everything, and they're pretending to be doctors. They introduce, like, 6 other doctors, and, like, there's, like, introduced as doctors, like, doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah, every doctor in the tent, and there are like a half dozen, introduces himself or herself to the two of them. So you hear the word doctor like 24 times in a row. And then they do it again when they
leave.
Like, it really is. Like, they pack it. they pack it with bits, you know, and then Donna Dixon pokes her head back in, and this is when Chevy Chase just starts feeling her up under the guise of his hand not working because he's trying to beg off doing a surgery.
Yeah.
And because they've asked him to do like this appendix removal for the tribal, you know, leader. And he can't, obviously, but he just says Aykroyd will do it. Which, again, more set-piece jokes where he's, like, trying to read a surgery manual under the table while he's about to perform the surgery, and everyone else in the operating theater knows that he's doing it wrong. You know, so, like, over and over, they just play up this silly stuff until, of course, they get run out of town on a rail because the tribal chief dies on the table.
I love when they're trying to operate the chief there, and it's like, all right, first off, we got to shave him. So, like, they're supposed to shave, like, the incision spot. They start, like, rubbing shaving cream on his beard.
Right.
And, like, during the whole time, Chevy Chase is, like, giving the fuck eyes to Dan Aykroyd's real-life wife there. Like, you know, he's flirting during his, like, this life-and-death situation. But, they're ran out of town, and, it's like...
But as they're run out of town, Dan Aykroyd sees that Donna Dixon was shoving an expensive piece of tech into her saddlebag. So he knew that they were spies too. Right. So he figures out, though he still doesn't know that they're decoys. They don't learn that for a while. But they get separated, and like, I don't even remember what happens, like, when they go off. But eventually Donna Dixon and her partner, like, run into Border Patrol, and he ends up getting killed
off screen.
And Aykroyd and Chase end up, like, running into her again somehow.
Yeah,
like that I've completely, in like an hour, I've completely lost what happened.
I think because the guy dies off screen. Like, you don't really see him die, I don't think.
Well, you see him get shot.
Oh, right, yeah. But, like, also, like, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, they make a phone call back to the United States.
Oh, right, that's right. They make it into town.
Yeah.
And they make, like, a collect call from a payphone in a random Pakistani city.
And all these American government guys, they've gone to, like, some underground bunker underneath the drive-in theater.
Right.
Get some cameos.
That was Ivan Reitman at the gate, right?
Yeah. There's at the gate, it's Joel Cohen, Sam Raimi. I think Ivan Reitman's another point in this movie. You also get, like, who else is that part there, too? Martin Brest, the guy who did Beverly Hills Cop. Like, you get a lot of director cameos in this movie. Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, wasn't it B.B. King who's, like, go in and have a Pepsi?
Maybe, yeah. It's just packed full. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, B.B. King. Yeah. And even when they're in the tent about to do the surgery, so Bob Hope is there. Like, he, like...
Oh, yeah, he plays through.
Yeah,
he comes through as Bob Hope, playing through.
Yeah. And... yeah, so, like, then they go to this underground bunker there, all the American agents, all these government people, and they get a phone call from, like, an operator that, like, had, like, not a secure line at all, that their bumbling spies have kind of fucked things up some more. But they're told they have to go to Russia themselves. So, like, basically they just kind of just, like, walk over to the Russian border because their camel gives up on them.
Right.
Yeah. And... yeah, so then now they're in Russia. Now, like, you know, this must be the hardest stuff to film when it's just like you're wearing like a million furs. Like, they're bulky, and they run into her again. And while they're there, they run into other Costa, like some like KGB like police officers or something like that. One of them's played by Costa-Gavras, the director.
Yeah, and
there's that one great line where like I will. There'll be a finger cut off here, like, oh, my finger or your finger? And they're able to escape. There's actually a pretty good action sequence here, like a lot of gunfire being thrown back and forth. They ultimately able to get through this because of they throw a grenade inside the house there, which causes a pretty good explosion. I love a good explosion in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when he throws the grenade back into the guard hut, it lands in a box of grenades.
Yeah.
So they can't figure out which one it is, and so then the whole thing just blows to hell.
Mm-hmm. And so they eventually are able to so they're with the girl now, and like they survey the ICBM missile, and they see all the Russians with it. Like they're all like listening to some pop music, and
right.
And like they see that one of these Russians is a babe. Ooh.
Right.
And like, cause she's like, changing and everything. So like, they're all like, they want to get down there and such. And, so like they wait till nighttime, and their diversion where they pretend to be like alien spacemen or something like that.
Yeah. It's just weird. Like they wander out of the desert. Like they make a big scene. They wander out, not of the desert, into the clearing with the missile.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is just to distract them so that they could tranquilize them and then reprogram the missile, which they do. And then you learn the real mission, which is that these psychotic generals, in an homage to Dr. Strangelove, are intentionally starting World War III just to prove they can knock the missile out of the sky. And if they can't knock the missile out of the sky, which is what happens, right? The Star Wars technology, which is like, I didn't get this at the time when I was 14 years old. But the whole thing is a setup for Star Wars, which then just misses the missile.
Yeah.
Like this very elaborate structure of like a laser bouncing off of building-sized mirrors just literally misses the target.
Yeah.
But they're like, we had a contingency for that. And then the contingency is just using our nuclear stockpile.
I love when the laser fucks up and like, what did the laser hit? And the laser hits the MTV satellite.
Right.
So these teenagers just like they're watching MTV and just like blows like the signal stops and they're like cool.
It blows up their TV. The signal doesn't just stop. Yeah. It blows up their TV and they think it's just a video effect.
Yeah. But yeah, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase know they're decoys now, so they're kind of like pissed off about that. Dan Aykroyd makes some comments like, I've ended the world. Like I never would have amounted to anything, but guess what I did, teacher? Like that's what I did. And they go off and he sleeps with one of the Russian babes, and Chevy Chase sleeps with the Dan Aykroyd.
Donna Dixon.
Yeah, Donna Dixon. And
but they decide that since they only have a half hour to live, they might as well spend their last half hour having sex.
Yeah.
And so the Russians pair off. There's a little bit of a old school playing gay for laughs, because there's like the unsexy Russian goes off with the older Russian guard, and Chevy Chase goes off with Donna Dixon, and then you're left with two Russians, Dan Aykroyd and the babe, and so the two other Russians look at each other and make really Hollywood gay faces and scamper off with each other, leaving Dan Aykroyd and this very hot Russian woman to, shyly make eyes at each other and then end up in a tent.
And they've established early in the movie that Dan Aykroyd does speak Russian. Like he's learning Russian when he's like down in the basement at work. So like he's been the one kind of translating stuff with the Russians, kind of make contact with them. He has like some inspiration, like guidance. I can reprogram the guidance system, and so like he pretty hastily does that, and which causes changes the instructions of the missile, where it just goes off into space and just kind of blows up, without causing any problems at all. at the military base there, the underground bunker there. Like it's broken into pretty easily actually by some was it U.S. Army or something like that?
Yes, yeah. U.S. Army Special Forces kick in the door. And I feel like it was a weird missed opportunity. I was positive that Rhombus was going to be the one leading that attack team. And then it wasn't. It was just some random new guy.
Yeah, like Rhombus, like you have a guy who's he's a name, right? So why not use him?
Yeah.
Or
like you've introduced the character and you've made him seem like a super soldier. Why isn't he the guy who gets to kick in the door?
And save the day with his ninjas or something.
Right. It's like it's one of those things where like they thought of a million things, but they didn't think to have this one thing go right. You know, like it's just Bob Swaim is the guy who gets credited, and I don't know if he's someone who I should know.
Doesn't ring any bells to me.
Oh, he's another director.
Oh, huh.
But it just says Bob Swaim is member of the DGA, you know, like a bunch of stuff. So I assume it's because they were just giving another director a cameo.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so then, like, they're kind of, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase return back to America. Chevy Chase is like, there's a bunch of reporters outside of her room, and, like, Chevy Chase is like, this is a very, like, you know, fragile meeting there. We have to be very, very careful what we say, so I cannot speak to the press at all. I have to go back inside and keep on negotiating with the Russians.
Which, by the way, the journalist he's talking to, and this may just be because I'm old, he's talking to Edwin Newman, who was a real TV anchor, reporter at the time, and once hosted Saturday Night Live.
Ah, okay, cool.
He was, and it's like, it's very funny because he's really deadpan. He does not do comedy at all, but they just used him and his actual personality to be on Saturday Night Live as a kind of contrast. So that's how he knows everyone to have gotten this part.
That's cool. Like I always love when Saturday Night Live has like a really like out of pocket like guest host. Like I like when they do something really like interesting, like someone who's not typically funny. Like I remember like 4 years ago they got Liev Schreiber to host, and like he's never been a guy who's known to be that funny, but he was very game for it. It was a really good episode. Sometimes they, like the athletes they get like are a mixed bag, but sometimes you get a really funny person in there, like Peyton Manning or something. Like, But yeah, so like inside the room there, so like all the Russians that we met before, they're now with like Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. They're playing a game that's like a mix between like Trivial Pursuit and Risk.
Right.
And like they're asking a question about like what's this, a Jerry Lee Lewis song or something like that. And they're all just like having a fun time and everything, and yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like like
yeah, that's how it ends. It ends with the Russians getting a trivia question wrong about Jerry Lee Lewis, and the United States reacquiring Eastern Europe in its sphere of influence. And so he just like knocks the missiles off the board, and then the credits roll.
Yeah.
Like it's like we don't know how to end this movie either.
Okay, and also the song. So the title song of this movie is called Spies Like Us. It's written and performed by Paul McCartney. I was like, what the fuck is this song? Like and like I was just like, I had no idea that Paul McCartney wrote originals. I'd never seen this movie before, like before I watched it just for this. Like I was completely baffled by the song. I thought like I would have at least heard of this Paul McCartney song before in my life. And it was a top 10 hit, and like apparently it was his last top 10 hit in the US for like 30 years, like until like he did 4 or 5 Seconds with Rihanna and Kanye West. Like it was like his last hit for a long time.
Wow.
That's so weird. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but apparently John Landis directed a music video for Spies Like Us, the Paul McCartney song.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Landis later said the song is terrible, but apparently McCartney and Warner Brothers insisted on the song. Like, okay, why Paul McCartney? But but yeah, so that's the movie, and like when it came out, like it got pretty mixed to negative reviews. Like this is not a comedic masterpiece, but it's a lot of fun. And like all the articles I've read when people coming around for this 40th are just like, it's a fun cult movie. We don't really get too many Cold War, like you don't really get many Cold War comedies, and it's kind of just like something that has like a little bit of bite of political satire, but not that much. And
right.
And yeah, I thought it was a delight. Like, it's not the best movie I've ever seen, but I've seen I was expecting something to be something far, far worse than what we got.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this was, and it's funny because I just taped an episode of Junk Filter yesterday for Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, nice.
And just like that, this is not a great movie for a 55-year-old guy. Mm-hmm. But this was a great movie for a 14-year-old in 1985.
Yeah.
Like every joke, and I feel like a lot of your listeners will hear us describing this and be kind of embarrassed for us at what we laughed at.
Yeah.
Because they're hearing it filtered through it being described instead of watched. But it kind of works as you can see it working for a kid and smiling at it now.
Yeah.
But not really. Like, I only laughed maybe 3 or 4 times.
Same here. Yeah. Like I smiled a little bit here and there. No cry laughter for me. It was just like the doctor.
The only one that jumped out at me was like the dumbest joke in the movie, which was dropping the plane on its nose.
Yeah.
Like that one was just flat out perfect, and it just looked like, and I mean, it looked like a Super Dave thing. It looked like, a Saturday Night Live sketch where they put people in a crash test dummy, car, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's really as basic as that, but in the middle of a military training montage, it just got me. It was just like this was placed exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that montage, that's one of my favorites. Like that part of the movie, as well as the stuff in the tent there with like the doctor thing, as well as the surgery that they're trying to fumble their way through. Like those are the parts that really made me laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, like despite the fact that it did not get a great reception, like, it actually did make a fair amount of money. It made a $77 million off a $22 million budget. So like it was a hit.
There you go.
Yeah, good, fun for the whole family. Christmas of '85. But yeah, that's Spies Like Us. Thank you so much for joining me, Charles.
Thank you so much for having me.
Any final thoughts on the movie?
I think Chevy Chase movies are probably fun to watch with your young son, as long as you make clear to him that all of the values in it are archaic.
Yeah.
Like, just be like, look, it's okay to laugh at this stuff, but remember, anyone who thinks any of this for real has brain poisoning.
Yeah. Chevy Chase should not be a role model to you.
Yeah.
And neither should John Landis. And if John Landis ever tells you to get in a helicopter, say no. Yeah, so anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I just want to plug No Homework, the podcast that I do with Patrick Cosmos and El Ron Mexico. By the time this is out, unless you just release this as soon as we hang up,
no,
episode 7 will be out because we're recording this on Monday the 25th. It'll be out later today. I am also in a podcast guesting competition. And so if you want me on your podcast, just hit me up at Senator Lemon Gogurt on Blue Sky. You can find me there, and I will probably do your podcast.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at bwishart. You can also follow MoviePod on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Next week, I am taking a break. I recorded 3 episodes in 3 days, so I need some time off a little bit. But once I return from that, I'm going to be doing an episode on the Hayao Miyazaki movie, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, as well as the edited version of that movie, Warriors of the Wind, that was exclusive in North America. A movie that was poorly dubbed and poorly edited to the point where eventually Hayao Miyazaki was sent a katana to Harvey Weinstein's office saying you could not cut my movies anymore. So that'll be a fun one. Looking forward to that. But thank you all for listening, and thank you so much for joining me, Charles. And until next time, take care.